Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It, our monthly podcast in which we discuss the various aspects of online education. My name is Mary, but I hope that everyone already knows that. And I'm an educational consultant with the Education Worldwide, an international online school whose podcasts you're actually watching. I'm happy to say that today or tonight, depending on where you live and from which part of the world you're watching us, we have a full house, meaning that my co-host Anita is back. So welcome back, Anita.
Thank you, Mary.
It's good to have you back. How are you?
It's good to be back. Good.
Did you miss us last month?
I did. Did you miss me?
Of course. We were talking about you throughout the entire podcast. We mentioned you, not throughout the entire podcast, but we mentioned you several times. But that's.
I saw. I felt like I was there, actually. There in spirit.
Excellent. Okay, so today we have a very interesting topic and a very serious topic, if I might say so. We're going to talk about special education in our online school, and we have a guest. It's our tutor, Katherine, who has been a head of the special education department in Education Worldwide, and I'm happy to wish you welcome. So welcome, Katherine, to our podcast, finally.
Well, thank you for having me.
How do you feel being here?
I don't know. I feel I
we
feel just
finally
fine.
had her agree to come. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel.
There
I
were
feel
negotiations like for a couple of months, and we were searching for the right timing. But I think we have a lot of things to talk about right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let me start at the beginning. Just tell us something about yourself, about your background regarding the work that you did even before Education Worldwide, and let's move later on Education Worldwide.
Okay. So I actually had experience working with special education. I volunteered and then later on did an internship and also worked in special education precisely. So I brought all of that here, of course. I don't know what else I would like to add. It was a wonderful experience.
Mm-hmm.
I got to learn so much from different fields of special education, and also just got the chance to see that that's something that I really enjoy, that aspect of education, and that I feel I always felt that it could be improved because it wasn't too catered to an individual, even though it was special education and there were specific programs for individuals. It was still pretty much a group setting, and it was kind of hard to work in a group with so many students, even though the groups were relatively small. It was up to maybe 6 or 7 students, but they all had very specific needs. So working, it was a balance between individual attention that they all needed, but also the group setting that they were in. So that's something that is really different here at Education Worldwide, because we actually, through the one-on-one classes, we can offer that purely individual approach without the group setting, while also having the group setting for group classes. So it's kind of like the perfect storm for special education.
Yeah, you know that's really perfect, because that was kind of my next question, like how special education will adapt to online learning environment, or better to say, how online learning environment had to adapt to fit the needs of special education. So, but you partially answered, but please, if you have something else to add, feel free.
Yeah. So I feel that online education actually solved one of the issues with special education, and that special education in any live setting had to be group. And when we talk about special education, it's really there are, of course, things that can be, implemented in group settings, but it really needs to be tailored specifically. So when you're working with a group, you've kind of no matter how small the group is, you can't really tailor it perfectly. So with this combination of socialization with the group setting and the very individual approach you get with one-on-one interaction, you get everything. So I was really excited when I started working here, because I saw that opportunity when I did my interview and everything. So I saw that as something that would change the main kind of issue that I had while working in mainstream special education in live school.
Okay, traditional schooling.
Traditional schooling, yeah, thank you.
Well, that's really great. And I have to add, Anita, Katherine was recently, like a year ago, maybe came into our team, right? And she started as a regular tutor, but her passion for special education and her ideas and everything that she brought to the company really put her as the head of the department for special education, which is really really nice, because as she says, she brought her experience from the outside, let's say like that,
from the outside
and brought it to online education and put it into our what we call our unique learning methodology, because education worldwide is all that actually. And my next question would be like, is it possible? I mean, you basically said that it is possible, so I will ask my question differently. So can you tell us how do we approach to special education in education worldwide? Like, what kind of kids can be enrolled in our school, and to what extent can we as an online school help children who have some special needs?
Okay, that's a very complex one. So I will try and start at the kind of like very beginning, and that is with the platform. So the platform itself, first of all, is very accessible. There are different kinds of mods you can turn on the platform to kind of help with getting through the materials. So for example, if we have a student who has some reading difficulties or reading comprehension difficulties, they have an option for the platform to read out loud to them. So which is vastly different than, getting a textbook and having to read it and just not and just struggling with that. So that's one example, of course, or having an auditory processing disorder, something like that, and then having videos explain everything in great detail and just helping you get what you need. So just the materials that we use are very accessible for different kinds of perception disorders and those kinds of learning difficulties. So keeping that in mind, it's a very complex question.
Okay, sorry,
but no, it's just that I wanted to point it out first, because that really helps not just the students but also their support at home, who don't now have to read to them or anything like that, but it also helps the tutors, because it makes the student way more independent. So, and independence is what we strive for all our students, not just students with any sort of special needs in education. So that's the whole point of education, to come up as an independent person. So.
But what you have said so far, it seems to me that the pure nature of online education seems to fit perfectly more than traditional education to fit the needs of kids who have some kind of disability and need additional help. And what I was actually trying to ask you is like, even on our website and on our material, we are mentioning like kids with learning difficulties and kids with atypical development. Can you make a difference and explain these two terms for us?
Yes, of course. So when we talk about learning difficulties, we can name a few, like maybe dyslexia or ADHD. So those are children who mostly have who have typical development and go through the same stages of development as their peers, but just have some academic difficulties. Now, on the other hand, when we talk about children with atypical development, we mean children who develop differently than their peers. So even though they might be the same age as some of their peers, they are in a different developmental, they're just at a different developmental milestone. So that's the distinction between the two terms.
Okay, we're going to talk more about it. Anita, do you have something to add, ask, or or anything?
I do actually have to add to what we were talking about before, and having Katherine part of our team now, and especially working with children, not just with special needs, but with learning disabilities, or like she just mentioned, now are at different stages of their like progress or something like that. I've had so many parents during consultations ask, like, do we offer programs for children with special needs and all of that? Of course, I can't, examine them or anything like that. So many times Katherine and I have sat down together and had a consultation together where she's able to ask those questions and basically determine what the best program would be. So it's really good that we actually have her here.
Yeah, that's great.
Just because it makes our lives a lot easier, and it just makes it easier for the parents and the students knowing that there is a program at Education Worldwide for their families and something that we can place them in. So
excellent.
thank you, Katherine.
Excellent. And that really brings my next question, like how the enrollment process, application process looks like. Because for students in general, all they need to do is just send some paperwork, and we can do everything pretty much with a couple of emails. Consultations are there, but they're not obligatory or something like that. But when it comes to kids with special needs, we do have to organize that kind of consultation. So can you please explain that part of the process, how it looks like? What do you talk with the parents? What they usually ask or what they want to know and stuff like that?
So like Anita said, they do wonder if we are going to be the best fit for their child. Of course, it's completely normal and welcomed because then the conversation is very open, expectations, goals. Everyone is just really open to what the needs are of the family, of the child. Just everything is out on the open, and that's really what we appreciate when we are doing consultations together. So we would meet sometimes first with the parents alone. If they feel they would like to discuss something before bringing the child into the discussion. And we would usually get some, we also receive sometimes documentation from the previous school, or sometimes from other institutions, some other professionals that we can look over, and just those initial documents and initial chats gives us an idea of how the interview is going to go, because it's, again, tailored pretty specifically. So keeping all of that in mind, then before we get the live consultation going with the child present, we prepare some questions. There are some very flexible categories of skill that we can assess a little bit. Language proficiency, maybe some writing, reading,
Awareness.
yeah, but also digital literacy, because we are online. And again, one of the benefits definitely of online learning is that again, when you work in a traditional setting with students with special needs, they are almost exclusively, almost in 100% of the cases, never taught digital literacy in a digital age. So unless their parents, let them use devices at home, they can finish their education without knowing how to use digital devices. And in this day and age, that is really necessary. So it's a skill. And it's becoming more and more important. And I have come to kind of equivalent it with the traditional skills that children need to have, which is, again, language proficiency, reading, writing, math, graphomotorics, and so on and so forth. So that's something that we can add, and a skill that they can develop with us without too much additional effort or homework, because they do learn, and sometimes even faster than other things, because it's interesting, and so children react well in general to the digital material, usually because they watch YouTube. So it's it looks familiar as opposed to sitting in a classroom and being somewhere. Also, I do want to point that out as well. I know I'm kind of going off topic.
No, feel free.
But for some students, being able to do the work in their room is a huge plus. It really is, for their just overall mental health, and just the feeling of achievement, of being safe, of not just it takes away some of the anxiety of being compared to other students. So I mean, we all remember our teachers handing out tests, sometimes even reading the scores out loud, and even if they don't, like, students ask each other, oh, what did you get? What did I get? Oh, but I got this. So that adds pressure to students who have, who just are not academically as inclined as they might like to be. But here, since it's completely individual and no one has access to their grades except their tutors and themselves, parents, that takes the edge off. So it makes learning less stressful. I feel. Actually, one of my students told me today that he feels less anxious because he can't compare himself to others, and which is a big step for him, because he used to ask me, "Oh, how are my classmates doing?" And I was like, "You can ask them. I'm not going to tell you," because he personally was a kind of student that kind of valued his score in relation to other scores.
Okay.
Yeah. And not in relation to his past scores and his progress.
So speaking of scores, we do evaluate them only based on as any other student, basically only based on their own knowledge and their own skills, not comparing to other kids, right?
See, that's a really good point, because I never thought of that before, and now that you say it, it does.
Me neither.
Like, you think, everything's self-paced, it's not self-taught, it's like they're in control of their program, but now that you mention it, it is such a big plus that they do feel safe and comfortable, and it's like they're in control, like you said, and it's such a good point that...
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's just important that you master some material, to learn something. It doesn't really matter if you do it in 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week, or I don't know, a month. Everybody's different. So.
You're comparing, like Katherine said, your old scores with your new scores, and not with like your classmates' scores, and that's
that was frustrating.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you for
just
bringing that up.
yeah, just
information.
remember it. Yeah, just remember what it was like, you know, getting hoping for a good score, getting a bad score, and then, you know, other students doing well, and you're just feeling worse about yourself because you tried really hard. Maybe you did try
Yeah,
really hard and you
because-
just fell short.
Absolutely.
Maybe you would have been happy with that score if you didn't know that, you know, others did well, because then you would have only compared yourself to, like, you know, I'm comparing this math score with my previous math score, and I see, like, I did better. I'm learning. I'm progressing. So you get this, and this is true for all our students. That's how the platform works. That's how classes work. So you can only compare yourself to the past self.
To yourself, exactly.
Yeah, and that's developmentally really important. And I feel this was a high school student, but I do think that they might be more self-aware in general as a teenagers and adolescents in general are more inclined to compare themselves. So I feel that is, again, another huge plus for just the program that we offer, because as we said, it is self-paced, but it's also self-evaluated.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel
There
like
you go. You learn something every day.
Okay, I just want to make a quick break from our talk to say to the people who are watching us, you can you have a chat and you can ask any questions that you want. It doesn't have to be related to special education. You can ask us anything about online schooling, how things work in education worldwide, anything you want to know. If we don't address the question immediately, we will throughout the show, but we are going to answer all questions live. And if maybe you're already a parent of our student and you have something to share regarding what we are talking about, again, feel free to do so. We would very much like to hear your opinion, or maybe a suggestion, or anything else that you have to say. So, Katherine, back to you. This is really, really fun. And tell me, or tell us. I'm sorry, Anita, I already forgot that you were here. You were missed
This time
from
I'm
one
not here in
podcast.
spirit. I'm here physically, but
Tell us, what are some other impressions of parents and students that you got? Because I know for a fact that you're very emotional every time your student makes a progress. And not only you, actually every single teacher in education worldwide, so many emotions, you know. But for you, it goes really like on another level. So, and it's really cute. And can you tell us, like, what are some impressions that you got from parents and students that's really, let's say so, like, warmed your heart and you knew that you were on the right way?
like a
And-
major achievement kind of.
Something like
that.
I think I would like to start talking in general, and then I
Okay.
think an example is gonna pop, but because there's so many right now, I can't really nitpick one. But in general, like the relationship we create with these families, because when you have a student that requires additional assistance, we do provide most of it, but it would be quite impossible to provide all of it, especially in regards to everyday life. And that's something that we do point out, especially for students who are of atypical development, where development is kind of the main point of what we are doing. So I cannot physically be there in any setting teaching them, you know, their morning routine, right? So the collaboration that we create with the parents and the facilitators or coaches, is key. That's where the best ideas come from. That's where the information is being shared. Information about sometimes even sleep schedule changes or anything like that. Sometimes even tiny changes said as an anecdote can be those that kind of unlock the bigger picture behind a certain behavior, or just like a certain state of mind where the student is at the time that they might not be able to express for any number of reasons. And this, the work with the families, with those, it's so rewarding. It's so rewarding. We have some amazing, truly amazing families, and I am just most of the time in awe at how just wonderful they are and how supportive they are and thoughtful in general. So yeah, so that's one thing that will always get me, like you said, when I'm being cute. but like it's just the progress, the celebration of the progress, because even though I not only me, but every one of us will always celebrate a success one of our students makes. But having the whole family celebrate it is just on another level. So I remember one of my students, I hope he's watching. He is incredible. And I remember when we were learning to count, and so he lives on a farm, and there was a pig that was about to have piglets. So we were learning to count, we were learning the number line. So we made a betting pool. Yeah, we made a betting pool to bet how many piglets are gonna be born from that pig. And his mom jumped on board and said, okay, so whoever wins will get a cake. Like, who's the closest, they're going to get a cake. And Kate, if you win, we'll send you a photo. So, but that was really great, because he then like went all around, asked everyone. He was so engaged, and he changed his answers like a little bit, of course. Yeah. So my answer was completely unreasonable. I had no idea what I was doing. Like I think
You
I said
obviously
like
don't like cake.
no, but I think I said like 12, because I remember somewhere maybe that it's like 13 is like too much, something like that. So I just went for the biggest number, I guess. I don't know. So I was off. I was completely off. One of I can't remember who won. I think it was one of their family friends who won. So they all had cake, and it just took the that little that whole story. Like this took a few weeks for those piglets to be born, but like that whole narrative made something that was hard fun. Just like having this. Not only the cake, of course, but like being able to see, I guess, the value of learning this, like how fun this is going. Okay, so when I know how to do this, then I'm gonna have this much fun all of the time, or something like that. It's the same with reading. Like when we have students who have, on occasion, difficulties with reading. Sometimes it's a more long-term difficulty. Sometimes it's just because of a new language, because English is their second language, or something. So with reading, it's always one of the strategies that not only me but the other tutors also use, is that, well, what's your favorite story? And everyone, of course, has their favorite stories. It's superheroes, it's fairy tales, it's beautiful. So imagine one day you're going to be able to read the story to your parents. And it's like, and we actually did have a student who managed to do that. So excellent. he was ecstatic. And they recorded it, and it was adorable.
Oh, that's really great. Katherine, I'm going to have to stop you because we have a question from Kiwi BGD. He or she says, how does the live part of the program adapt to atypical students and their daily routines?
Okay. So we Yeah, that's great. That's a great question, actually. So there are a few things that we can do. First of all, our group classes, as was mentioned before, they are on a fixed schedule. So they can't be moved. But the one-on-one classes can be adapted completely to the schedule. So you can book them for that week if the schedule changes weekly because of doctor's visits or something like that. Or we can even organize it that they also are on a fixed schedule and are incorporated into the daily routine of the student. So whichever we discuss this in consultations, of course, which of the two approaches the parents and the student think would be the best fit. And if that can also change, one of my students quite recently decided that he can't keep the pace of because he has a delayed sleep schedule due to ADHD. So he said that even the latest classes that we have, he sometimes didn't show up, and he felt bad. Of course, he shouldn't, but he did feel bad. So then we switched to the flexible schedule, and he's doing better. He's overall doing better because he can book the class an hour in advance or move it around and just have that flexibility, which for him is crucial because of the sleep schedule that is not it's not a schedule.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
he doesn't have a schedule. So yeah.
So we are adaptable pretty much around
Yes.
every need. So I hope we have answered your question. If you have more questions, feel free to ask. I believe that Katherine is the right person when it comes to this topic. So this is your I'm not going to say only chance, because you can always book a consultation if you have and talk with her about it as well. So the way I see it, you as a tutor, or all our tutors who are working with children with special needs, you're basically involved with the family and with facilitators and with every single person that is involved in education and upbringing of that child in any matter, and you're involved in a much bigger level than you would usually be with other students, to my understanding, right?
Yes, I didn't really think of that, but now that I make a few comparisons, I guess, yeah, I guess so. There is there's a bigger web of contact. Usually with the student, it's their parents themselves, or if they have siblings at the school, of course, the siblings. But yeah, we do have contacts with and it's and contacts and sometimes meetings, of course, outside of the class if we need to discuss maybe a change that either of the three parties have maybe a suggestion that we would like to discuss. We book a meeting and we kind of weigh the pros and cons. We try it out. We give it a trial period. Sometimes we keep it, sometimes we don't. It all depends. But the collaborative process is really unlike anything I've ever experienced in education. I have solely worked in education. Okay. And that's all I ever wanted to do, so I'm living my dream.
Excellent.
But yeah, just that level of just having, I don't know, it's always such a positive environment because we all have the exact same goal, and that is for this student to succeed. And there are so many different approaches to that. Ultimately, it's up to the student, of course, and like what best works for them. Sometimes we will try different things. It might take a while. The adaptation period, of course, to an online, completely, fully online setting is something that's really valuable to us as educators, because there we can see in more depth the skills I mentioned, because we're not, putting we are never putting pressure on our students, but I think that the everyone is kind of giving it some time, especially, you know, when I come and say, okay, we are now entering the month of adaptation. So nothing that we do doesn't affect anything. We're just adapting. We are seeing what works, what doesn't work, where are the strengths of this child, where are the strengths, what can we build on. Every child has so much to offer. They all have such great, just not only personalities. I don't even know how to summarize that. They're all so incredible and so hardworking and just motivated. It's always, it's never starting from zero. You know, sometimes it might seem that way. To someone who has been, you know, so close and kind of doesn't maybe is expecting a huge change. Like every change is huge, but the small changes, the small steps are the ones who build permanent skills. So, and that's one of the things that I do. I'm there to point out not only the big changes that are visible
but
and celebrate.
Small steps. So that's nicely said, really.
Yeah, the small steps are so, they also need to be celebrated. And every step in the right direction it deserves it. And the child deserves to also feel that their effort is paying off, because it always is.
Great.
That's my opinion anyway.
That's great. Anita, from your point of view as a consultant who speaks with parents on a daily basis, did you had any experiences when it comes to special education? Like, what is something that parents are looking for? How do they approach? And
they really just want something, well, based on the experiences we've had, is just someone that will have patience and spend that time. And like Katherine said, it's different in a group and it's different one-on-one. And again, like she mentioned, every child is different. And I feel that what parents really want is for like a teacher or a mentor or someone just to be there and have that patience with them and bring out those skills and those unique qualities that they know their child has and that they weren't able to find in, say, maybe a regular school or in a bigger group. And that's why I always say it's better that they meet with Katherine first, and
yes,
she
can explain
exactly
much better.
and not just from like a tutor's perspective, but from someone who has that experience with students on all different types of levels and or spectrums or anything like that. So like I said, it's really good to have her there, because something that I can definitely tell them what education worldwide is like and what it would be like, ballpark, what it would be like. But again, it's different because everything gets adapted, and even with our different programs. So we've got like the different levels we have. I think it's an IS or something like that. So that's an adapted version of the curriculum. So they're still doing regular program, but it's adapted so that they don't feel, like they don't feel overwhelmed and all of that. So
I actually had an experience from one of our students. Her mother actually reached out to school and was like, she wants to enroll a child, and our first response, because it is a child with an atypical development, and our first response is like, we're not sure that we can do it. But she was like really persistent and was like, no, but I really want my child to go to education worldwide. So I connected with Katherine, and after a couple of consultations, it turns out that we are actually a really good fit. And I have to say that a few weeks ago, I got a really heartwarming email from that lady who just was having so many nice words for Katherine and what she does with her daughter, which is truly an amazing. And when you see it. But Kiwi BGD has a follow-up question. So Katherine, get ready. So what are some of the difficulties of socialization and bonding given the nature of social needs in an online-only space, and how do you overcome them?
So
Interesting.
yeah, again, very very good. So with socialization, like we said, group classes are the place where that happens. So in group classes, students will tackle a topic together with their group teacher, and they can interact with each other, of course, and it's wonderful what different teachers from different subjects, they do completely different things, and the students get this variety of not only topics, as in social studies, science, but just a different kind of approach. I remember that at some point, one of the group class teachers played like a little history videos, but like weird history. So like, what would you eat if you were born in 1810? And like they would watch a little video, and then
what would you eat if you were born in 1810?
Yeah, that's literally the video. So they would watch the video and then offer their opinions, offer their knowledge, offer their cultural background as well, because the video usually doesn't cover every culture. Yeah. So the interactions are really pure, in my opinion, from students get to connect not just with the classmates, but also with the teacher. They get to discuss things from various different points of view, especially in social studies or language arts, because the culture plays a bigger part there. Now, keeping that in mind, I do believe this was also mentioned in a previous podcast, that the forum is being
we are planning on
the forum
launch it.
the forum is going to be launched quite soon. So it's going to be another space where students can interact with each other under supervision. So that as well as the clubs. The book club, I believe, is alive and well.
Yeah, and in full swing.
Yeah, in full swing. So those are just some of the extracurricular activities where socialization can completely naturally occur without any academics being involved, basically.
Great.
So yeah, I hope that answers the question. I'm ready for a follow-up.
Yeah, I hope that you're satisfied. But if you have another follow-up question, we're ready to hear it. Because although we are talking, we really appreciate when someone from the outside, so to say, comes and asks a question, because you probably have your own experiences and your own motives for asking them, rather than just us who are basically working together. And we do have so to say a goal with this podcast, to inform people what we are doing and how we do it. But questions from people who are watching are always welcome. So yeah, feel free to ask them. Okay. I will switch the topic to something different now, because aside for creating our tactics, methodologies, and everything in regards of special education in education worldwide, you're also one of the persons who's always there to raise awareness about various things. So you recently launched an anti-bullying campaign, and 2 months ago on our podcast, when our tutor Bianca was here, she told us that unfortunately, bullying was one of the major problems our students dealt in traditional schools, and one of the reasons they joined to online schools was because they were bullied in their previous schools. So, what are your thoughts about it? How did you come up with the idea of launching the anti-bullying campaign? And please tell us what the campaign included.
So right off the bat, one of our students it's started in a group class with a comment, then in a one-on-one meeting, actually told me his story of why he is in online education, and it was because of bullying, that it was just unbearable for him. And that, to be honest, no one at the age of, he was 10 at the time, he was 9 actually in the main when that happened, so that should never happen. And that kind of brings me back to the point I already mentioned of being safe and feeling comfortable while learning, because schools are not just a place for learning, they are also a place for socialization, and sometimes they're also a place for just some truly bad experiences. So being able to, just be in a safe space is really, for some students, makes a huge difference. The anti-bullying campaign did come up from that. We haven't had any incidences before, but I also come from a background in volunteering, and I did volunteer mostly in preventative capacity, in the prevention of HIV and prevention of addiction. So kind of like, again, bringing that to something that a student has brought to my attention that he has been exposed to. So that's where the idea came from. And the campaign, it took a month or so to fully develop the materials, and also have just a discussion with all of the tutors that are involved, and have this brainstorm and editing and revising, and just getting the best out of everyone's ideas, because everyone was really on board with it. It was, yeah. My colleagues were really supportive, so it went well because they all thought it was a good idea. They all did want to participate in it, so it's turned into just a kind of big collaboration between the whole team. And we ended up giving the presentations and the talks and the homework.
Okay, so you involve the students. They had to come with the feedback, right?
Yeah, they did, because feedback is how we thrive, as anyone, really, not just a student, but also, everyone who does anything can only thrive with feedback. So so we organized it. It was a full week of group classes for basically all the groups. So every not basically that. It was for all of the groups. So every group at every age.
Sorry, just a moment. When you say a group, I don't believe that people know. So we are talking about grades 1 to 12.
Yes, and also the AM
and morning and afternoon shifts, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So everyone who attends group classes was involved and had the opportunity to participate. And the students, I of course gave a few of those classes, and the students were really excited about the topic. They all had something to say, sometimes it was a personal story, and I feel that for those specific groups that they kind of bonded over the experience, and I know I've received feedback from students and also assigned tutors and groups that their group teachers, that their groups seem more close-knit after that.
That's really great.
Some of the groups definitely seem more close-knit after that. And they just found out that they were not alone, that didn't happen to only them, that it's just something that unfortunately does happen. And it's not their fault, of course. But yeah, I feel like it was a great topic. It was something not school related, not academic related, but something that was very common throughout cultures, and just something that connected all of them. Now the feedback that we got, because we did ask them for homework. So we asked them to make anti-bullying posters or write something. It was voluntary based, not exactly homework. It was voluntary based, but we did receive an ample amount of materials from the students. Sometimes they even worked on it, and that was...
Together.
Yeah, that was adorable.
That's really
Yeah, some of the students were visiting each other. Some of the younger students, because of family travelings, they were visiting each other. Sometimes it was in a digital setting.
I really have to say, I'm really surprised with how well connected our students are, because we're an international online school, and you never think that they might be able to connect each other, so well. But I also got our social media team telling me that they're even following each other on Instagram or on Facebook and communicating with each other like that. And it's truly amazing, because you never know. Again, this digital environment doesn't really give you a full insight into the things immediately, but once you start discovering where it goes, it's amazing.
Yeah, so one of the things that's different between traditional school and our school is that you don't have like that recess. At least I believe people don't realize that we kind of have our version of recess, those kind of like accidental socialization moments. And that's when our students stay after class or just interact somewhere completely offline. Or even work on projects. We have courses that require students to work on projects together. So assigned tutors would connect students who might not be in the same grade, so don't have group classes, but are taking the same elective, for example, or all of those peer review assignments in language arts, they have to do together. So they get connected. They, of course, can choose, but if they really are, timid or don't know how to approach, we can introduce them and connect them, and they stay connected after
really
that.
Okay, so basically you are really satisfied with how the anti-bully campaign was, and it obviously had a huge effect. I also noticed that our students are really compassionate, because I heard the other day, I think it was Tammy talking about a girl who was worried that her friend from the class didn't show up or something like that, and coming from a child who's 6 or 7 years old, it's a huge,
And she wouldn't continue. Yeah, I was there. She wouldn't continue with the lesson until Tammy emailed to us. Yeah, and then
really
she emailed
nice.
back. Like she emailed the mom of the student who was inquiring with the feedback that everything is okay.
The teachers do.
But those, to be honest, those are the things that lift you up as an educator. The students, them being just wonderful. And I'm gonna go off topic a little, not off topic, I'm gonna go back to a topic we had about the relationship between all of the parties involved in educating a student who has any sort of special requirement. And that is I wanted to point out the feedback from parents as really, parents and facilitators as really crucial. I did point that out, but also on our side, our feedback, which is in a timely manner, which is after every class, we can carve out a few minutes and give instant feedback and just comment on the class, that's something you can't get anywhere else. So that's and I do feel that made a significant change in a number of cases, because not only do we build an honest and open relationship and a quality report, but also the shift in perspective that happens. It's just it's really, I think it's an evolutionary thing. We are programmed to remember, the bad things, so that the bad things don't happen to us again. But keeping track of all of the, not just the small, the big steps, of course, that I mentioned. And I feel someone, when a parent gets that pointed out to them, like when I come and I say, oh, she wasn't able to do this last time, or she made this connection. I can't believe it that she did that. And it's just, I feel those moments are very precious in just the whole structure around that child, the whole supportive structure. So I had a moment like that recently, and I think it was just all around amazing. Like you said, I can get really overwhelmed maybe with positive emotions, because a student has done something that I personally might not have even, it's not that I didn't notice it, it's that the student hasn't been, and this happens a lot. There's a lot going on behind a curtain when a student is learning. So they might be acquiring a skill and not showing any sign of it. And then just, those are those, like aha moments. It on the outside to us, it looks like they just, it came out of the blue. But it's grounded in some work that the student has taken from a class, from their daily life, from just everything that's going on. And then suddenly you have a skill. And it seems like it's out of the blue. It's truly a shocking moment. I remember I was speechless. The mom was also speechless. Everyone, we were just but when you retrace the steps, you see where the structures was being happened. Yeah, you can see like where it was probably built. So the feedback on those, and there are quite a lot of children out there that develop in those huge leaps. It just seems like that. It's that particular skill was developing in the background while something else was in the foreground and very visible to everyone. So, but those leaps can really catch you off guard and just bring huge joy.
No, that's great. I mean, it's so nice to see that teachers are having so much fun and joy and are in general happy and genuinely happy because of their students. Anita, we got you quiet because Katherine talks so much, but she talks so beautifully about everything that we are all like
sitting here
listening. So you have anything to add on anything that she talked about?
I think she covered everything.
Yeah, I think that too. And the reason I'm saying this because we have to wrap this episode up, but we are going to invite you another time as well. No, seriously, Katherine, anything else to add to round up this topic about special education? Anything you want to... oh, sorry, we got another one. Oh, this is Hiram. Hi, Hiram. So Hiram is pretty much here in all our podcasts. And as we usually say, we are so grateful that you are watching and supporting us and, of course, trusting us with the education of your children. And he says, I conquered with those surprises given to us by these little prophets. Thank you for these remarks and info. Keep up the good work. Best, Hiram. So... this is just a support, but equally important. So Catherine, any last word for this episode?
Well, if I would just like to maybe reach out to some of our future students and parents who might be watching us now, might watch us in the future. If you feel like you would like to get more detailed information, to get an idea of what education would look like with us for your specific situation, please reach out to us. We would love to set up a meeting. Anita, open your calendar.
It's always open.
Yeah, so we would love to set up a meeting and talk about the scheduling, just all of it, and
Just
work
give them
with
that
you.
reassurance.
Yeah. So we would really love to meet you and get the brainstorm going, I guess, get the work going, and see what is the best possible solution we can come up with as a team for your child.
Well, that's great. Well, as Catherine says, if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us. We keep saying about these consultations, but they're really crucial, and people don't realize it. But in a life where you can enter the school physically and shake hand with a tutor or administrative officer or anybody else, I think that these consultations are really the thing that connects us and creates that bond of trust between the school and the family, which is really important, because after all, we are educating your children and you should have trust in us, and vice versa. Anyhow, thank you all for watching us. If you like this show, please like, subscribe, share this episode with somebody who might find it interesting. And don't forget to watch our previous podcasts, because as I mentioned in the beginning, we cover various topics about online education. We break some myths, and we talk without any hesitation about how online education works, because we're not just a school like, oh, we are an online school and that's it. We are growing as the industry of online education is growing, and we're trying to adapt and take the best practices incorporated in what we are doing, all to make the education better for our students, and to make them better persons once they finish elementary, middle, or high school and move on through their life. So once again, thank you for watching us. We'll see you in the beginning of May. Bye.